Good morning. We have spent the last few days here in Belhaven, North Carolina, because it has been a little windy and we have had a bunch of work to do both on the boat and for videos. So we are finally headed to Oriental today. There's not a lot in the way of concerns on this stretch between Belhaven and Oriental, other than it can get a bit choppy because of the way that the Pamlico Sound connects to the Neuse River. That area in a east or west wind, especially an east or northeast wind, can be very, very choppy, so just plan accordingly. We have decided to take a relatively mild weather window this morning. It's only supposed to be 5 to 10 knots out of the west, and then changing to the southwest in the afternoon, so we should be in real good shape. We are hoping to get on one of the free docks, which is why we are leaving as early as we are. So let's go. Oriental, North Carolina is one of the most cruiser-friendly stops on the ICW. They have two separate free docks, the one we're on here, and there's another one over there. And it's 4 slips. You sometimes could fit 2 small boats on each side of the other dock, but this one's definitely 1 slip each. 48-hour limit on the docks, which is awesome because you can stay for 2 days.
The town also has a marine supply store super close by. They have a few provisions there. They also loan out bikes, and you can take a bike down to the Piggly Wiggly, or you can walk to the Piggly Wiggly and hitch a ride back from them, which is pretty awesome as well. It's a really well-stocked grocery store. I was very surprised when we went. It's small, but it has a lot of stuff. There's also a brewery in town, which we haven't been to yet, and unfortunately is closed today, so we won't get to check it out, but we've heard good things. We are gonna go for a walk, tire out a puppy, who already seems pretty tired, and hide from the cold some more. One of the beauties of starting the ICW from the north side, from Norfolk, instead of starting in, say, Florida, is that you really get eased in to kind of life on the ICW. And part of that is because up in northern North Carolina, where we've been the last few days, there's not very much shoaling, if any. There's just a couple problematic bridges and that are a little bit on the shorter side. And there's no current. So basically all you're dealing with is weather, and that piece is something you're probably already used to as a boater. So that's not a huge deal. Once you get into the southern part of South Carolina and further down, you start dealing with a lot more shoaling and a lot more current, which starts today on our trip from Oriental to Beaufort. So there is a section here. We have just crossed the Neuse River, and we are about to go into Adams Creek. And Adams Creek has a little bit of current. It's nothing that's going to stop you in your tracks, even as a low power sailboat, but it is something that if you can time it to have it with you, makes it a lot more of a pleasant ride. We don't have a lot in the way of shoaling today, but we do have a couple confusing areas to navigate, and we'll go over those as we go past them. We're going about 7.5 knots over the ground, which is about 1.5 knots faster than we normally go, which means we feel like we're flying. But to be bucking 1.5 knots current for, 10 miles isn't exactly something that's a lot of fun. So hence why we're trying to time it while it's with us, and we are doing that. Current switches around noontime. Should be about when we pull into the Marina, which is even better. We'll have slack tide getting into our slip. Just came around the last kind of corner here on Adams Creek, and I got a big old whiff of the ocean, and it smells so good. Uh-oh. Dolphins already. If Aiden's any tell, he's already all over the place. It's exciting.
We're coming up on one of the more confusing spots in this section, and that's where the channel splits. And there's one section that heads down the ICW towards Morehead City and points south, and then there's a split towards Beaufort. And it became kind of confusing because there's a split channel marker. So like if you're going one direction, you take it on one side. If you're going the other direction, you take it on the other side. And just make sure you're on the right side depending on your direction, because there's like a shoal right on those. And then there's also a few drop buoys where things have shoaled in, so they've kind of like moved the channel around a little bit. And with some chop and sun in your eyes, it's really hard to see them. So this is one of those spots you gotta pay attention.
courtesy cars at marinas are getting fewer and far between. So to find one is super exciting, and we are going to go pick up Elliot at the dinghy dock because they are anchored. And then we are going to go across the bridge to Morehead City. We're going to go to the grocery store. We are going to go to a place called Rusty Ron's, which is like a marine surplus store, and the grocery store, and we are filling propane tanks. So lots of errands to run. It's about 3 o'clock. We are trying to do it as quickly as possible. The next day, we headed out to the anchorage in Taylor Creek, and Andy started working on a few projects, including replacing the faucet with a newer, low-flow one.
Got some pretty extreme boat yoga going on here.
Jen and I have left the boats and the boys to do boat projects, and we're gonna go explore the Rachel Carson Reserve and go out to the beach so we can have some nice relaxing away from all the boat projects. The Rachel Carson Reserve was established in 1985 to preserve land for migratory birds. More than 200 species have been observed in the area. The reserve is also home to a group of wild horses. It's a must visit while in Beaufort. Just be sure to bring your boots because it is very thick mud on the paths. We will see you all next time as we continue through North Carolina.
Corkscrew.
I'm gonna go wider.
What you doing, girly?
Ollie, come here.